Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. That's what our series that we're in right now is really about. It's the soul. I talk about finding the shape of our unique soul. And then when we know that, if we kind of get a sense of who we are, created in God's image but uniquely, it might help us decide better on how we are to show up in the world. What kind of work? What kind of volunteering? How do I want to spend the rest of these days and breaths that God has given me in this body? Don't you want to spend them well, in a way that is fulfilling and meaningful, that brings you a sense of freedom and joy? Is that not what? Yes? Do we want that? Yeah. Do we want that? Yes, thank you. That's what we're doing in this series, is that we are finding our soul in a new way, discerning who we are that we may deliver it into service of others, to be that light of the world. I have a question. Questions are good. Inquiry is good. It helps us discern. So here's the question. You're given a choice. You can spend the rest of your days in optimal health with no pain, with vital energy, no restrictions, but in order to have this, you have to give up ice cream forever. Which are you going to choose? Vanilla or butter pecan? I did the same joke about 3 years ago with tacos. Said the punchline was beef or chicken. It is about choice. Every moment, every breath is a choice on how we're going to show up. And are we going to live from our authentic nature, or are we going to live from the old tapes and the false beliefs and the family history that we've been living from? And what we offer in Unity, what we offer in the New Thought tradition, is this fundamental underlying assumption that we're created in the image and likeness of God. When Jesus said, "Don't you know you're the light of the world?" he meant it. That he and many other great mystics of all traditions have seen through the veil of what we call reality, which is just really conditioned reality, to the eternal truth. And there they see it's all one. The eternal reality is all one. It is good. It is love. It is light. It is power. It is peace. It is the presence. And that's what we are. But we forget. In this incarnate form, we don't always live into that fully. So the soul. Today, this talk is really different today. And so I like my, joke 3 points in a poem. That's just kind of the formula. But today it's actually, I've got 4 points because there's a simple question that I want us to be with. And I'm taking, for each one of the points, one of the words of this simple four-word question. And the question is this: what do you want? Talking about the desire of the heart is my talk title today, and as I've thinking about it, I should have called it the desire of the soul. I think that's really what I want to talk about, this deepest place of us that will speak to us if we can get in touch with it, if we can still the mind, quiet the body, we can hear what it is that it's asking from us and for us. Sometimes when we ask the question, what do I want? We start with the word what. Well, we want ice cream. We want money. We want a boyfriend, a girlfriend. We want, those things, right? And nothing wrong with wanting those things. Very, very good. We want a better paying job. We want all of these things. There's an exercise that I do when I teach this material in workshops where I just have people in pairs, just for 5 minutes. They just have to stand there and just keep saying, I want. They finish that thought, they start again, I want. And people just freak out. It's not polite to say I want so much. It's not spiritual to talk about desire, right? But what I'm offering in today's teaching is that your deepest desire, not only is it spiritual, it is the invitation to the spiritual life that you're seeking. That if we can find what our soul is asking. So I want to begin by saying the what. First, let's define the different parts of us. We know that we're all one, and we're one with the one. But sometimes it's helpful in our spiritual study and our spiritual growth to look at different aspects of our being. So let's begin with the ego. What does the ego want? The ego wants significance and power. Because it doesn't know that who the soul truly is connected to the power. So the ego wants to manipulate and control so that it gets seen. And so that's what the ego is asking for. So when we're asking the question, the what do I want, if it's really about earthly powers, if it's about power over someone else, if it's about me getting finally recognized for all the good that I've done that nobody ever sees, that's the ego. What does the body want? The body. Ooh, the body. Two things. Comfort and pleasure. Butter pecan ice cream. The body wants comfort and pleasure. If the body is hurting, what does it want? To not hurt. It wants to feel good. I'm a fan of comfort and pleasure. And what happens if we seek only the body's desire of comfort and pleasure? We become a hedonist. There's no soul fulfillment in that path. So when we're asking the question, what do I want? It helps. Is it the ego speaking? Is it the body speaking? And what does the heart want? This is a tough one, and this is why I've kind of boxed myself into a corner here, because, we don't really have a strong teaching on what the soul is. This is how I perceive it. Last week I shared on this, all of the teachers from Oprah being the resource of all things spiritual, and her Super Soul Sunday. There's some agreement, but everybody kind of has their own flavor on it. But I liked what Ian Van Zandt said, that it's the soul is the fingerprint of God in us. And the way I said it, it projects into heart, mind, body. It's that imprint that was before we were born. That's our soul. And it wants to reveal itself. Well, the heart, we think about the heart as being the feeling center. And I think that the heart is a beautiful doorway to the soul, because the heart is the purest feeling before we've editorialized it, before we've judged it, before we've thought about what everybody else is thinking about it. There is a pure center of feeling. But sometimes the feeling comes from our wounds, our old past. So I think the heart is a good place to open to the soul, because it is guileless. It's like a child. In the curriculum for this week's Spirit Group, if you're in one of them, I talk about my niece, Riley J. Gott, when she was 3 years old, out playing in the yard at my parents' house. She comes running up to her mom, and her mom has a bottle of water, and Riley looks up at her and just does this pure and innocent desire. And I think our heart is like that our heart is pure. Our heart, if we can tap into our deepest feelings, it may not tell us what it is, but it's pointing us in the right direction. In AA, I learned that the feelings lie. And I get what that's trying to say, but it's not actually the feelings that are lying, it's my thought about the feeling that is not the truth. I might get a feeling of shame, and I might assume that means that there is something fundamentally wrong about me. That's the thought. The shame is always an invitation to healing. That if we follow the feeling through, we will come to the deeper truth that there is no shame in us. We are the light of the world. So what does the soul want? What is the what for the soul? Two things. The soul desires to express and experience God. That's all that it wants. It wants to give the gift, the unique gift that each of us is, into expression, and it wants to experience life fully. So whatever the qualities of God that are going to help the soul fulfill its path in you. That's what it's seeking, to give and receive. Giving and receiving are good words, but I tend to think of them as being transactional. I'm going to give and then I'm going to receive. And the soul doesn't know anything about transaction. The soul knows about being. And it is the most natural thing in the same breath to give, express, to live out of its eternal and perfect nature into reality, and it experiences fully and openly like a child. Just open, just innocent and pure. That's the what. So it takes us to the question, the second word of the question, do. What do I want? On this question, I don't know if you noticed, but it does not say, what did I want, or what will I want? So what's the secret here in this great question? Present. What is the desire of the soul that is seeking to reveal itself to me now? Right now. So not the things that we wanted. Have you noticed this too, that your desires change as you go through different stages in life? The things that are important to you, they're different. You see, that simple equation that the soul wants to express and experience, that never changes. But the avenue, the path, the ways that it changes. I spoke last week about the Michael Gott-shaped hole that I found in all the places where I was working. And I'm not doing any of those things anymore. It's continued to evolve as I find out more and more who I truly am. That the opportunity for me to give that shifts and moves and evolves with me. But if we can get in touch with this question, what do I want? Many years ago, I was finishing seminary, and my mentor, Kathy Hearn, I was calling her, I was having some trouble. I'll just leave it there. I was in a stuck place, some pain. And it was really about some external conditions and some people who weren't doing what I thought they should do. And she saw through it all. And she's like, Michael, I'm just going to ask you to, for the last 6 months of seminary, just be with one question. What do I want? And right now, without thinking about it, what do you want? And in that moment, two things just revealed themselves. I want to be doing ministry full time. And I want a slower tempo in my life. See, at that time, I had taken these prosperity classes, and I had learned how to work with multiple streams of income, and I had probably, sextupled my income. I mean, I had used these principles. I was doing well, but I was busy. I was doing a lot of different things. And so the immediate question was, I want to be doing this work, this spiritual work, full time. And I don't want to be so pulled in my calendar. Now, is that the soul's desire to express and experience? I don't know, but it led me to some interesting awarenesses. A little bit later, a job opportunity came in an email that normally I would have said goodbye. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm going to stay here. But it was an opportunity for me to do full-time ministry. And that's not where I ended up going. But by asking the question about what do I want in this moment? So I encourage you to ask the question and ask it from your perspective now. There's an answer. There are clues. There are, intimations of what might be possible in your desire right now in the present moment. And then what do I want, or you? Who is the I that is speaking in that question? Or which I are we talking about? Kind of goes back to the first one. Is it the ego? Is it the body? This is where you are really invited to live your truth as you ask this question. The I. I told you about the I want exercise. It's when I give instructions for that, I often say, if you start with I want a new car, great. You want a new car, say it. But then what does that represent to you? What's the car mean? And for most people, it has to do with freedom. Freedom so I can go where I want to go without having to worry about it breaking down, right? That there is always a quality of God that is seeking to be experienced in our desire. And if you can get in touch with the truth of who we are, then those desires will reveal themselves to be spiritual in nature. This is from Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. It's easy to discredit ourselves, indulge in self-criticism, and walk through life thinking we are unimportant. But we forget one thing: God never made a mistake. Infinite mind can only create people with a value to themselves and to the world. No one, not one of us, is unimportant. Emerson, I go to this quote so often. The fact that I am here shows me that the soul had need of an organ. Shall I not assume the post? The I, the you, is a once in all eternity opportunity for God to experience the unique, irreplaceable, unrepeatable gift of your soul. And it's happening now. Right now is the opportunity for you to step into your authentic nature, to the unique expression, the soul that will never, ever, ever come in any other way. It is yours. And so often, we think that that must not be true for me. That must be true for others, but not for me. Now, there are a lot of theories and a whole lot of therapists making a lot of money to help us unwind all of those things that would get in the way of that truth. And believe me, I believe in therapy, and I want you all to make a lot of money because there are some people that need to do that work. I've been one of them. Whatever the false belief system that you have bought into, it has to be unwound in order for you to step into your soul's greatest gift. That if you can say, I'm the light of the world, but you're still acting from poverty consciousness. You can say, I'm the light of the world, but you're still holding resentment against your brother. You can say, I'm the light of the world, but the way you're walking in the world is not showing us that. And we think, well, I can just decide once, and then I'm just going to be the light of the world forever. Who would like to testify that that is not the case? This is a lifelong journey of unfoldment, of healing. You know, I did a lot of deep work in the 12 steps, and the way I heard it there is that we discover, uncover, and discard. We discover that there's something going on in my life, a pattern where I'm not showing up as the light of the world, that I keep getting into fear around this thing. I keep finding myself getting triggered into resentment and anger around this thing. What is that? I discover that it's happening. I uncover it. If you've never done a 4th and 5th step, let me tell you, that's a great thing to do. A searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. I mean, boy, did that terrify me. I didn't want to tell anybody about that. That was my freedom, to be able to just say, this is how my human self has shown up, and to tell somebody else, oh my God. I know we don't do confession and unity, but it's good for the soul. It is. It's good to look at what is, we uncover it, and then once we see this was never the truth of me, we discard it. We discard it. And there have been beliefs that I've carried in my life for decades. And after lots of therapy and lots of 12 steps and lots of unity prayer, one day it's just gone. Finally, something has seeped down to a soul level of my understanding, and I no longer believe that to be true of me. And then I can be the light of the world. So I don't know where your stuck places are, but I know you got them. We all do. We all have those places, those patterns, those things that keep showing up again and again. You know, like, this is one of my favorite ways to say it. You've married 4 men, but it's all the same one. The pattern is there, and it's clear that there's a belief system active in you. And you know, here's the other thing I want to tell you about it. It really doesn't matter where on the spectrum of healing work you enter in. You just start somewhere. Call the therapist, get a sponsor, take a class, just start. Just begin the journey of discovering, uncovering, and discarding, and it will lead you to the next thing. Because remember, the soul is going to be speaking to you. That is the I. What do I want? And the fourth word of the question is want. What do we want to know about this word want? Well, let's start with why we think it's not spiritual to want. In Unity we have less trouble about this than in other traditions, but there's still like, oh no, it's better to give than to receive. I don't care about getting anything, I just want you to be happy. Doesn't that sound more spiritual? It's better to give than to receive. See, that, believe it or not, is the ego. That, again, we come back to that voice of the ego seeking significance. Look how spiritual I am. I don't need anything. No, you go first. That is the ego, seeking to come in through the back door. Sneaky, that ego. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that everyone suffers. Suffering is a part of life, and our suffering comes from our desires. But the word that is used is dukkha, which means not like soul desire, it means craving. It's those things that are not coming, it's the desire that's not coming from our deepest self. And so if we can discover, uncover, and discard, and then we begin to see there still is desire here, there still is a want here for soul expression and experience. Can I get in touch with that? And if we can own the fact that that desire is innocent in us, it's pure, and just stand in it. Ask for what we want. Ask for what we want. And if that still is hard for you to ask that question, what do I want? Our dear friend Mary Morrissey offers another phrasing of it, a different window into it. She says, what would I love? That's a great question. What would I love? What experience would just fill me up, light me up? What would fill me with love? I want to end with this idea of what I believe to be one of the biggest reasons why we don't ask for what we want, because we're afraid we won't get it. And here I've set myself up for it, I've asked for it, and it doesn't come. The disappointment will be too great. Better to just not even put myself out there. Have you ever experienced that? I've been disappointed too many times in my life. I can't open my heart with the hope that I might get what I want because I've had a lot of conversations with many of you in this community, and I know the disappointments that you've faced in your life. I know that this is not where you thought you would be at this time in your life, and that's not the person you thought you would be with at this time in your life. And yet here you are, and here they are. Tara Brach, Buddhist teacher in New York, has a beautiful new book called Trusting the Gold. Thank you, Pam Lewis. This one is called Loving Life No Matter What. I waved as the cars packed with friends and family pulled out of the driveway, headed for the beach without me that year, the first time since I was a child. For as long as I could remember, summer meant Cape Cod, with its piney woods and wide sandy beaches, our house filled with friends and growing family as spouses and new children joined us. Whatever difficulties I might have been carrying in my heart were all held by the blissful hours we spent every day on the beach, riding the waves, swimming and floating out beyond the breakers, lying out on the hot sand to rest. This summer it would be different. After years of mysteriously declining mobility and health, a diagnosis had come through. I had a genetic disease affecting connective tissues, and the only treatment was painkillers and very gradually building muscle strength to stabilize my joints. I didn't know what my future would look like, whether I might ever again walk on the sandy beach with my family or play in the ocean with friends. I felt deeply alone, separate now from so much I loved. As the tears of grief fell, a prayer arose in me. Please, please, may I find a way to peace. May I love life no matter what. And as I sat on the deck repeating that prayer of longing, my heart opened and opened until the grief turned into a pure, tender loving of life itself, no matter what might unfold. At that moment, I knew most deeply that I could lose everything I cared about, and that love would always be here, a timeless essence of my heart. Over the ensuing years, I have gratefully found my way back to a surprising level of health and physical activity. Still, I know that everything I hold dear will eventually go, except this loving awareness that cherishes our ever-changing life. You see, all of our fear that it's not going to turn out the way we want, it doesn't matter. It already has turned out the way you want, because you're here. You're here. To have the exquisite gift of a human lifetime is winning the lottery of the lottery of the lottery. And underneath every desire is the desire to simply live and love. And that's who you are. Join me in prayer. So we begin this prayer by letting go. We just simply release and surrender into the life and the love of God. Letting go of our need to have it look anyway, letting go of the kids that aren't acting right, letting go of the job that is not fulfilling, letting go of all of the stuff that causes us pain and distress and disappointment. We just let it go. And we trust that beneath everything is the eternal life and the eternal love of God. And that is what I am. That is what we all are. And so we rise on this ocean of eternal love, welcoming new experience, releasing the old, listening deeply for the desire of the soul to guide us, to show us, to whisper in our ear, turn here, stop that, be here now. And right here and right now, knowing this oneness with all life and love and power and peace, I can speak my word for every person who is within the sound of my voice, that life is fulfilling itself perfectly, beautifully, right now, as you. The conditions are shifting, yes, but shifting for your good, for your highest and best. Right here, right now, you are moving into greater realms of soul delivery and discovery, of greater realms of experience and expression of the life of God that is coming through you and to you. Right here, right now, the soul is saying, this is what I want, to live life and to love. And so we say yes. We give thanks that this prayer is already answered. It's already happening. We let it go. We let it be. And so it is. Amen. If no one has told you today that you are loved, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.